welcome everyone to the March Coffee and Commerce here at the Urban Chamber of Commerce. March, of course, being International Women's Month, and as one of my favorite poets once said, since we all got our name from a woman and our game from a woman, it's good that we honor our women. Of course, I changed the last part. He said it differently. But anyway, I would like to welcome everyone to Coffee and Commerce. This is the Urban Chamber of Commerce monthly morning networking event. And it's an event because we have great information to share with all of you. This morning, we have two great speakers that are going to be joining us. They actually have joined us, and you can see them on the screen, which reminds me, this is still a networking event. I'd love to see everyone who has joined us. It's okay if you didn't brush your teeth. No one's going to say anything. Because Christina obviously did with that bright smile. I'm going to be talking about that all morning. I just want you to know that. In the meantime, hey, everybody, go ahead and turn your camera on. Let's increase our engagement. Allow us to see one another so that we can put a face with the names we see on the screen. And as we give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves, which will come up in just a moment, definitely we want everyone to be able to see you. So again, this is a networking opportunity. Don't hide behind the camera. It's okay if you didn't do your hair. I didn't do mine either. So it's fine. Definitely go ahead. It's okay. I did actually clean my keyboard. It's sanitized. So it's safe for you to turn your camera on and let us see you. Good morning, Kim. I literally haven't seen you in quite a while. Hey, Tiffany. Good morning to you. So we have some folks that are joining us now. So we're going to give them a moment to get in the Zoom. And then again, we're going to give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves, share who they are, so that we can continue to network and build those, as our chairman of our board, Shondell, would say, real relationships. Kevin, you look different today. I know you would change. You have the fro and then you cut it down. I didn't. Now you're growing it blonde. I got to learn that trick, Kevin. I got to learn how you did that. I'm teasing, of course. Kevin Rayford, great gentleman. Obviously, that is not his face that I see on the screen, but I know that whoever you are, you're going to introduce yourself in a moment. Although it's been a while since I've seen Kevin. Maybe he's made some changes. I kid. In the meantime, asking everyone, please go ahead, turn your camera on, allow us to see you so that we can network with you and put a face with all of these names. The chairman is here. He is here. He is driving. He's multitasking like always, doing his thing. So it is about 3 minutes after. It looks like we've gotten the folks that were waiting to get on are here. So once again, welcome everyone to the Urban Chamber of Commerce, Coffee and Commerce. Again, our monthly networking event, your opportunity to learn more about your urban chamber, get great information from many of the great resources that we have here at the chamber. Wait, hold on, let's see who's texting me. I get them in a moment. And we're going to have some great speakers and some great information shared with you today. And so we're going to right now start things off by giving everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. Now, if you've been to a Coffee and Commerce before, you know how this is going to go. If you've not been to a Coffee and Commerce before, it's okay. I'm going to explain it. Your introduction is very simply 3 things and 3 things only: your name, your company name, and what is a good lead or referral for your business. Now, I've said that, but here's what I want to also put on top and actually put first. Here's what we, as Big Mama would say, here's what we not going to do. I know somebody out there has a full presentation already set that they wanted to share for the introduction. Go ahead and save that. When we discuss that with me, and you can become a speaker. I know someone has a 7-point plan on all the things that, not this morning, this is not the time or the place. I know somebody has an event coming up, or they've got the specials they're running with their business. That is awesome. That is great. Save that for when you have that one-on-one conversation with the person that says, I need to meet that person. Which reminds me, as we were giving our introduction, this is another reason you want to have your camera on, one, so you can see and be seen. Now, what do I mean by see? Y'all can see everybody, each other, but here's what I would like us to do. If somebody says something during the introduction and you're like, hey, I need to meet that person, I would like you with your camera on to give them a wink and a point so that they can know that, hey, I need to make sure I connect with them after this meeting. And then you can do your PowerPoint presentation, your 7-point plan, your specials you're running, and all of that fun stuff. So right now, your name, your company name, and a good lead or referral for your business. So for example, my name is Darren Mitchell. The company I represent is Legal Shield. A good lead or referral for me is any business owner or business professional like each one of you who understands the importance of having access to legal and consulting to protect and grow your business. And then we all clap. There we go. And so with that being said, I'm going to make just a slight adjustment because we have the honor and pleasure of having some of our chamber leadership in the Zoom this morning. And I've always been taught to defer to the leadership when they're in the room. And he's made a special request so that before we give our introductions, because this is a busy, busy, busy gentleman out there working hard for all of us as chamber members, as the board chair, he always likes to say that he works for us. And I can tell you that he does. So when he asks us to make a quick left, then we make a quick left for him. So ladies and gentlemen, as you are preparing your name, company name, and leader referral for your business, so when I come back to you, you're all ready to go. We can fly right through the through the introductions. I'm going to start by allowing our chairman of our board, the founder and visionary of Some New Marketing, the gentleman who coined the phrase real relationships, Mr. Shondell Newsom, to the front of the Zoom. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Darren. You know what? And I do work for you guys. I do serve. I come with not selling, but I serve. And that's real important for people to understand. I don't really sell anything. I serve in everything that I do. And I thank God for the privilege and opportunity to be the chairman of the board for this fabulous Chamber of Commerce. I just left the reason why I'm chiming in. I got to go to a meeting at 10, but I'm chiming in because I'm really, really proud of this chamber. I'm really proud of the work that we're doing. I just left the meeting. I'm also a trustee on the board for the Vegas Chamber. And many people might ask the question, why are you chairing the Urban Chamber and also working with the Vegas Chamber? Well, it is actually a relationship at the Vegas Chamber that brought us the Mitchells, brought us Darren Mitchell and Julie Kankai. And I want you to understand that when I talk about building relationships, this is your opportunity to do that. I believe that people really do business with people who they know, like, love, and trust. That's who they do business with. So I want to encourage everyone to do exactly what Darren is saying. I want you to give your intro now and build the relationship over a period of time. There is a time for speed dating, but speed dating is one of those situations that never really leads to a relationship. What it leads to is a quick transaction, and those don't really last that long. And so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm out here really working on your behalf. One of the things that I'm going to be doing for those of you who are not looking for vaccinations, especially in the African-American community, Joe Cato, Perry Winkle, and Some New are getting together. We're looking for key stakeholders to make sure that everybody gets vaccinated. The sooner we get healthy as a state, as a city, as a country, we can do more business, and we got a lot in store. Like, I just left the meeting and we're talking about what are the new conventions that are coming out? Where are we making the connection? Also, if anybody here wants to do business with MGM Resorts, please make sure you put in the chat box that I want to do business with MGM Resorts. Tell me what your business is. Now, if there's a need for your business, Delisa and I and Ken will make a connection, but there has to be a need. So don't call me up later and say, Shondell, I sent you my name. First, we need to know what you do. Then we can make a connection, and they must have the need. We're not in the work of charity. We're in the work of commerce, which is totally different. And I'm going to tell you, if you find a need, you will have that company and that contract for many, many years. So I'm just here to bring greetings to everyone. I'm here to say God bless all of you. I'm really thankful that I get to do some live events. I'm also planning, Darren, I think we're still planning an actual night with me at the golf course at Legacy. I don't know if that's still on, but I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you. And as Darren said, I'm extremely busy, but hopefully one of my team members on the call can tell you about the Some New Solution Zone. My daughter created that for people who say I'm too busy. I really want you to utilize that online tool that she put together, because that is a way for you to get mentored by me in marketing. And really, no more in-person sitting around for an hour listening to your idea. If you go in this portal, you could write out your whole idea for forever. You could talk to me every single day in this portal. So it's called the Some New Solution Zone. And I think it was brilliant by Tiara to put that together, because even 5 years ago, she put this together, and it was before COVID. And it just really allows people to have access to me. And I'm not trying to be busy on purpose. I'm just out there serving. And that's what God has allowed me to do. And I'll continue to do that. So Darren, thank you. And thank you and your membership crew for your leadership through all of this. And thank you for continuing to help us to grow and be the best that we can be. So God bless all of you. I'm sorry I can't hang out that much. I got to go prepare for this next meeting, but thank you again.
It is most definitely our pleasure, Shondell. We're so glad that you are here. But I just have to say one thing real quick, and I don't do this very often. I'm going to have to disagree with something you said. You are busy on purpose, as should all of us be. And forgive me, I don't like to shit on people. That's impolite. But definitely, you want to be on purpose with your business and be doing your business on purpose and be busy. Because I always like to say, look, it's better to be busy than broke. I'm just saying. If you're busy and broke, you're doing something wrong. That's another conversation for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shondell Newsom, Chairman of the Board of the Urban Chamber of Commerce, thank you, sir, for all that you do. And definitely, if you are looking for marketing for your business, try something new. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was not the way to do your introduction. That is special privilege by way of being the chairman of the board. So again, I want to welcome everyone and ask again and remind everyone again that this is your opportunity to share your name, your company name, and a good lead or referral for your business. And I believe and hope that everyone has had an opportunity to do that or get that prepared in their minds so we can go quickly through the introductions. And again, if somebody says something that you need, like as Shondell already said, make sure that you let them know. Or hey, we're using modern technology. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Like, hey, I need to meet you. Like when Marquis was here last month, and I finally got Annie Fawashi pronounced correctly. Did I say it right? Awesome. We made sure we connected. We're going to reconnect again because I need to get some cleaner for my shoes. Shameless plug for her business, which she'll talk about in a moment. So in the meantime, this is going to be like Hollywood Squares. I'm going to ask everyone, look, we're here at the networking event. I see everyone has their cameras on except a few folks. Don't be shy. It's okay if you didn't brush your teeth and do your hair. I didn't either. Let us see you. We want to make sure that we connect with you. And so I'm going to start things off with the first person on my screen. Kim Ho, go ahead and unmute. And then Tiffany, go ahead and unmute. You're on deck. Kim, go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself this morning.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim. Company is Kim Photography LLC. I do headshots. So the good lead for me is people who need headshot and company who need headshot for the people.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. That was perfect. And I got to say, you definitely want to have a headshot, especially now that we're doing everything virtually. You want to make sure that no matter where you are, your face and your branding is right there. Yeah, I did that. Tiffany, go ahead and introduce yourself. Mary, you're on deck. Good morning, Tiffany.
Morning. Hi, yes, my name is Tiffany Ward. I represent Dream Safe Project. I'm also a certified DISC practitioner and team development trainer facilitator. And my lead for me would be HR departments that are looking to build synergy within their teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Appreciate that. Laurie, you're on deck. Go ahead and unmute. Mary, good morning. Good to see you again. Introduce yourself, please.
Good morning. I'm Mary Arbutina. I'm with Nevada Industry Excellence. We're an outreach program of the university system to industrial companies. Today, what I'd like to do is outreach to people who know people who want to get into manufacturing jobs, and also anyone who wants connection into training programs, because they have some great online ones out of the community colleges up in the north that we can now connect to. So my information is in the box.
Awesome. Oh, you muted yourself, Mary. Did you mean to do that?
No, I did not.
It is
But I
all
think
good.
I have used my 30 seconds of fame.
And I appreciate you being timely, Mary, because something that I was not able to do in live events is if somebody went too long, we would just start clapping like the award shows. But here in technology, I could just mute you if I need to. But I try to be polite and respectful, as I know all of you will be in staying timely. By the way, Mary, you did say something very, very key because we are not in a public setting where you can exchange a physical business card. So please I see you. Thank you so much. Put your information in the chat so we can have your contact information and exchange information with one another, because I cannot stress this enough, although I will attempt to throughout the morning. After this meeting, you want to reconnect with folks, have those one-on-one conversations, be it by virtual or in person, to build that real relationship. May not be customers of one another, but at least you build your network, because here's the reality. The bigger your network, the bigger your net worth. As which millionaires like Shonda Newsom can tell you. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? Anyway, Laurie Stevenson, thank you. You're next. Fabrice, go ahead and unmute. You're on deck. Laurie, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Laurie Stevenson. My company is a little bit of tea, a formal English tea house, hopefully opening post-pandemic. My connection is I'm trying to learn as much as I can and connect with people who can teach me how to do this.
Awesome. Thank you, Laurie. We are glad you're here. I don't know about you, but I certainly enjoy a spot of tea now and again. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. John Williams, please unmute. You're on deck. Fabrice, introduce yourself, sir.
Nice to meet everybody. My name is Fabrice. I'm from We Fix Brands. Our ideal customer is anybody who needs help with their brand or online marketing. So making sales online and increasing their digital presence, influencer marketing, things like that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Fabrice. We definitely need to connect. Oh, no, that's not Kevin. That's Marquis. Unmute. You're on deck. John, go ahead and introduce yourself, please. John, I see your lips moving. I know you're unmuted, but I cannot hear you. You may have an issue with your microphone connection.
Is that better now?
Much better. Thank you, sir.
Okay, super. John Williams from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm curious as to what this program is about. I kind of head up the accounting department in Iron City Polaris, which is an ATV dealership. And so that's about it, I think.
That's plenty, John. We are glad that you're here all the way from Phoenix. I have to say, this is one of the things I love about networking virtually, is that you can literally expand your network beyond your geographical boundaries. So John, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, we are the Urban Chamber of Commerce in Las Vegas. I make sure I have to say that nowadays. This is our Coffee and Commerce, our monthly morning networking event. And so we are glad that you are here. Eduardo, go ahead and unmute. You're on deck. Marquis, always a pleasure to see you. Please introduce yourself to the folks.
Hello, I know my name says Kevin Rayford, but he is my business mentor. My name is Marquis Anafawashi. I'm the operations partner for New Life Kicks here in Las Vegas. We are a custom restorations footwear business, which I'll talk a little bit about later inside of this presentation. Anybody that wears shoes is a great lead for us.
Awesome. That is true. We definitely have to connect. So we are rebuilding brands and rebuilding shoes. This is awesome. Belinda, you're on deck. Go ahead and unmute. Eduardo, go ahead and unmute. You go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name's Eduardo. I'm with Liberty Dental Plan. So anybody, maybe your employees have Medicaid or Nevada checkup, that's a great lead. We provide, training on how to utilize their dental benefits and presentations, and, donate dental supplies as well. Nice to meet you all.
You donate dental supplies as well. That is awesome, because we're going to talk about the importance of donations later on today, but that's for Christina to do with the beautiful smile. She must be a client, being that her smile is so lovely. Okay. Tyler is the last name. I do not want to butcher the first name. I'm not messing up names today. So unmute, you're on deck. Belinda, please introduce yourself. I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. Nope, now you're muted again. Your microphone may not be connected. Go ahead and mute again and see what happens. Still having trouble hearing you. Might be a technical issue with your microphone connection. Not sure myself. I'm not the tech genius on that end. I'm gonna give you a second to check your settings and make sure that the microphone settings on your Zoom match your system. That much I can tell you to do. And I will encourage you, as well as everyone, if you have not already, to put your information, your contact information in the chat. In the meantime, Melvin, go ahead and unmute. You're on deck. And is it Satira? Did I guess right?
No.
Satira. Doggone it.
Satira.
Ah,
Yes.
all righty. Please introduce yourself this morning.
Good morning. I am Satira Tyler. I am a local Las Vegas realtor. And anyone who is a first-time home buyer who is looking to rent to own property or is relocating in or out of Las Vegas would be an ideal client.
All right. Thank you so much. Residential primarily?
Residential, yes.
All right. I like to ask. I want to make sure I give as much pub as possible. Let's see here. Who have I missed? I think Rhea is here. Please unmute. You're on deck. Melvin, go ahead and introduce yourself so I can see. I see from your nose up. There he is. Look at that. Look at that bright smile. That handsome fella right there.
Well, I'm good morning, all. I'm also babysitting this morning my granddaughter, so you probably see a bunch of toys in the background. I was trying to hide some of that. I need one of those nice banners that Fabrice or Tiffany or Marquis have displayed there. Good morning again, everybody. Thanks for having me. I am part owner and operations supervisor for the Black Pot. We're a Southern style soul food catering service coming soon to Las Vegas. I have to say that just in case someone from the SNHD is on the line. And we're still going through our process, health inspection process. So a good lead for us would be busy families or singles who are just starving for some soul food, a healthier brand. Give us a call. We can cater your small events, as well as small businesses like any of you who want to have your meetings catered or any of your events. So looking forward to meeting all of you. Thanks so much, Darren. Good to see you, Delisa.
Melvin, I gotta ask because I haven't had breakfast, so I'm hungry. So I'm gonna be a little bit selfish, and I'm glad. I'm sure everyone will appreciate this. I don't know if there's anyone here from the Southern Nevada Health District, but when you do get here, where will your facility be when you arrive?
Well, we do have an on-site and online presence, but we're going to be at 3 local Las Vegas farmers market, the Summerlin, downtown Summerlin area, Bruce Trent, and then the Tivoli village areas.
Awesome. Thank you, Melvin. I appreciate you being here because good soul food is hard to find. Anyway, Rhea, I'm so glad that you're here. Alexandria, please unmute. You're on deck. Rhea, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself, please. Because I just love hearing your introduction. I don't even want to try to mess it up. Are you there? She must be auditing this evening or this morning, rather. Excuse me. I don't sleep, so I got lost track of time. I see the sun is up. But Rhea Watson, Scholarship Solutions. If you have any interest in going to school and you thought money was the issue, it doesn't have to be. Rhea Watson helps folks get scholarships from 1 to 100, from cradle to the grave. She helps you get scholarships for your education. I know for a fact that she has clients who are in elementary school. And they have scholarships already that they've earned to fund their college. They're not even at college age yet. So it's Rhea. It is okay. We are glad that you are here. If you get your audio working, I will be glad to let you do your introduction in just a few moments, time permitting. But I hope that I did you justice in sharing exactly what you do. I will ask you and everyone else to please put your contact information in the chat so that we can, each of us, continue these conversations. Excuse me. And Melvin, it's okay if you got toys in the background. We all working at home. It is all good. Belinda, is your microphone working, ma'am? It is not. All good. We are glad you're here, and we're glad that you can hear us and get all this good information. And so please, if I haven't seen it yet, please put your information in the chat. And Belinda, do me a favor and put in a little bit of information about you so we can all know who you are, since we can't hear you. But I am so glad we can see you. Speaking of see you, Alexandria turned her camera on. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Darren. I appreciate that. My name is Alexandria Hughes. I am a business services ambassador with the Employee and the Business Hub. And what we do is we assist businesses with getting resources they need, points of contact maybe, or referrals. So our ideal customer would be small businesses. So maybe 60 and under employees, people affected by the pandemic, businesses affected by the pandemic would be our ideal candidate. So if you're in need of maybe talented candidates or financial incentives, we could definitely assist you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexandria. So glad that you are here. I want to thank again everyone for joining us today. There are a couple of folks that I specifically did not mention or ask to introduce themselves. One, because two of them are going to be speaking, and two, because the other one wasn't going to say anything if I asked her to anyway. But that person, that third person, is Rashonda Washington. She is part of the heart, what I call the heart and soul of the chamber. She is part of the team that makes this happen. Quite literally, like, I'm not hosting this Zoom, so if it shuts down, it's her fault. I'm teasing because we know that's not going to happen, because Rashonda is an expert at what she does. And so we thank her for all that she does. And then Christina, I'm going to introduce you further in just a moment, but our first speaker this morning is a young lady that I've had the pleasure, honor, and privilege of knowing for several years, throughout the entire time that I've been a member and then a part of working with and serving with the Urban Chamber of Commerce. This is a young woman I just gush over because I can honestly say I've watched her growth as a business professional within the chamber, and now she is the engine of the chamber. And if Ken Evans, our president, were here, he would nod his head vigorously, because she is the head of the team that keeps him in line and keeps the chamber moving forward. And so we asked her, because again, this is March, this is Women's Month, and since we all got our name from a woman and a game from a woman, we wanted to honor our women this morning throughout the chamber. Thank you, Melvin. I'm glad you caught that. And we said, we got to have Delisa speak. Delisa does so much. We have to put her in the front of the Zoom. And she does so much, it was hard to narrow down what she was going to speak on this morning. But one of the things that Delisa, one of the talents that she has gained with working with the chamber, is applying for and gaining grants for the chamber to keep the doors open and the lights on, literally. And so to speak about the 7 tips for applying for a grant, the operations and program manager at the Las Vegas Urban Chamber of Commerce. Yes, since you're all muted, put your hands together, please, for my dear friend, Delisa Stewart.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Darren, for that wonderful introduction. I was going to try to introduce myself, but you did such a great job. No need for me to do that. I will go ahead and start sharing my screen. If you guys can give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. I'll just tell you a little bit more background about me and my experience with grants. So since I've been here at the chamber, I've been working with the chamber for 8 years, and in my tenure of time of this 8 years, I've applied for 8 grants, and out of those 8 grants, we've received 6. We were turned down on 1, and we're waiting for an answer on 1 currently. And so with that being said, and over time with these grants, not only have we received the grants, but sometimes they've given us more than we asked for. And I think a lot of that has to do with these tips that I'm about to give you right now, is why we've been so successful in receiving funding through grants. So tip number 1 sounds so menial or like common sense. That is, read all the instructions. And like I said, it sounds like, duh, who wouldn't read the instructions? But quick story, I seen this grant, was so excited. Oh, we're going to apply for it, start getting everything together for it. And a few days later, got through all the instructions because I didn't read it right away after doing a lot of work on it, and realized we weren't even eligible. So it's very important to read the instructions and go through the whole grant. Sometimes the grant proposal or a set of grant instructions can be 20 pages long. You want to make sure you read every single page. And I gave you guys some examples of things you may find in grant instructions that you want to be on the lookout for. So a grant that we've done, and usually this becomes very important when you're applying for any government grants or grants for government agencies, that they want it to be a certain font size. They want it to be on a certain, the paper size has to be a certain 8.5 inches by 11 inches, and your whole proposal cannot exceed a certain amount. A lot of times when you're applying for anything for the government, they want you to be registered in SAM and have that SAM number, and it has to be active or they won't fund you. They also want you to obtain a DUNS number and keep that active. Another thing that I've seen is they may say you need to have at least one designated laptop. It has to have this much grade security. You have to do this and that. It could be 20 workstations. So you want to make sure that you have the capacity to meet the requirements that they have in this grant. Especially when you're thinking about it, because like, let's say it is for workstations or something, you could build that into your budget when you're creating the grant and when you're creating the narrative for your grant. Number 2 is know your audience and know your purpose. So I gave you some questions that you want to ask yourself when you're getting ready to write your grant or even decide if this grant is right for you. And that's, what's the mission of the grantor, and how does the grant's mission align with my mission? How am I going to make, is this even a good fit, or are we just applying because there's money out there? You know, what objectives am I expected to meet? Can I meet those objectives? How am I going to meet those objectives? And what's going to set me apart from everyone else who's applying for this grant? Because if you can't tell that part in your narrative, you probably won't get the grant. They really want to see what you're going to be doing different than everyone else. Number 3 is start early and set deadlines. And for that, it's really important because most grants have deadlines on them. And if you don't meet that deadline, you're not getting the grant. Mostly. I've never seen, only once in my life have I ever seen where they gave an exception, but usually there is no exception. You don't meet that deadline, you're not going to get the grant. And setting deadlines for yourself is very important to make sure that you meet that deadline. I want to have my whole grant complete and done at least 1 week before the grant's deadline is due, which would give me more time in case there are changes that I want to make to it or something. But the way we'll do it is maybe set it up as, we want to have our first draft done by this week. We want to have our second draft done by this date. I need to have my budget, first draft of my budget done by this date, have someone to proofread it by this date and give me feedback by this date, make the changes and have a second draft by this date, and have my final draft done and proofread by this date. And so if you set that all out, it helps you stay on track when it comes to writing out your grant. Also, you want to have your outline done, and that is my tip number 4, is creating an outline. Grants, like I said, when you're working with a 20-page grant proposal and you want to try to figure out what all they're asking you for, it can be a lot. Sometimes they have point structures and they'll break it down by points and say, well, this part of the narrative is worth this much points. Your background is worth this much points. So you kind of know that, but to get a clearer picture, if you outline it and put questions to your outline. So instead of just having opening, middle, closing, you're going to want to have, this is my project synopsis, and I'm going to answer these 3 questions in there because this is what they're asking me for. And sometimes it's hard to interpret what exactly are they asking you for when they're using certain jargon, especially with government grants. So a great resource that I will bring their information up later, but just to mention them now, is the Nevada Grants Office. They help you to where you can send them in the grant proposal and say, hey, this is what they're asking me for. Here are all the instructions they gave me. And they will give you the outline I'm talking about with all those questions. They'll put it in layman's terms so you can understand exactly what they're asking for on each part and what questions they're asking, and then you just go through and answer them. And it makes it clear, concise, it keeps you on point. And it also makes sure that you're not being redundant, because on one side, I've applied for a lot of grants. On the other side, I've had to review a lot of grant proposals. And sometimes people can be redundant in their narrative. So you just want to make sure you stay away from saying the same thing over and over, and that you're actually making valid points throughout your whole grant narrative. Number 5 is creating a place to house all of your supporting documents. And that's really important because you don't want to get to the end and be scrambling. When you're applying for that grant, or when you're reading through those instructions, they will tell you, we're going to need this, we're going to need this, whether it's that SAM's number I mentioned, the DUNS number. And I gave you guys some examples of supporting documents. And that could be like your articles of incorporation, or if you're a corporation or a nonprofit, or your articles of organization if you're an S Corp, your W-9 form financial statements, list of your board of directors, a list of all your major funding sources. And they may want you to go back the last 2 or 3 years and list who gave you money and who the company was and how much money they gave you. So you'll want to make sure that you have all that. Annual operating budget is a big one. I don't think I've ever applied for a grant that didn't ask for that. Tax returns is another big one. So you're going to want to make sure you have those, and your balance sheet. And I think one that I put on here, but I just wanted to clarify for the financial statements. A lot of the time when you're doing government related grants, they need to be audited. So they want to see your most recent audited statements. So you can give them, if you didn't get last year audited, but you had 2019 audited, they'll want to see 2019 and 2020, but they'll need to go back as far as the audited versions do. And then bank wire transfer information. I know it's like, duh, I want to get paid, but sometimes people will put the wrong information. They'll put their routing number from their check, and that may not necessarily be the routing number that your wire transfer is connected to. So you want to make sure that you connect with your bank. Sometimes the bank name may not be the same as the one that you're used to. So make sure you have that right bank name, bank address, and your routing and account number for your bank wire transfer information. So if you do get the grant, you can get paid expeditiously. Number 6 is get help. And that's where I wanted to bring up the Nevada Office of Grant and Procurement resource. They are really awesome if you're ever applying for a grant. If you want to get more information on grants, if you want to find grants, they help you with that. If you're applying, they help you with that. They will help you review your grant. And that's another reason why I stress getting ready early, because if you're ready early, you can send your full package off to the grants office, and they'll say, hey, we think you should fix this. We think you need to clarify this. You need to give more information on this part. So they will really go through and read your whole proposal, even if it's 20 pages. I've sent them a 20-page proposal. They read the whole thing and gave me a bunch of edits back to help me make it better. So they are a great resource. It's they're funded through the state. They are a government resource. So, you know, you're paying your tax dollars to have this resource. Why not use it when you need it? Get in their portal so you can get updates on new grants. They have different workshops. I think they have a workshop going on today for grant writing. So wanted to give you information on them. And my 7th tip is proofread. You have the grants office to help you proofread. I have everybody help me proofread. When I'm writing a grant, I can get so caught up in it because I've been working on it for so long that I forget. I can misspelled words or miss a whole part that I thought I put in there, miss a whole sentence because I'm thinking it through while I'm typing it. So it's really great to have at least 2 to 3 people look at your thing. I wouldn't stop at one person, at least 2, if not 3. And that the grants office could be one of those resources. And then you have someone else. Same with your budget. If you're putting together all those financials, sometimes numbers can start to run together after working on a budget for hours and hours. So have somebody who has a financial background review your budget, someone who can help you, an accountant or something. Just look it over and make sure all your numbers match, and have them read the narrative too, because a big thing is the numbers in your budget need to match what you're saying you're going to do in your narrative. And they need to be the exact same, just a mirror picture of each other, where on one side you're seeing the funds and on the other side you're hearing the story behind what I'm going to use these funds you're giving me for. So those are my seven tips for applying for grants. I want to thank you all and open up the floor for questions. I do see one in the chat so far. She asked me, can she get a copy of this slideshow? Yes, you may. And
For free?
Darren, I'll throw it back over to
That's
you.
valuable information. Delisa, are you just going to give away the slides? That's valuable information. That's worth money. People pay for this.
Yes, sir. I'm giving them away.
Wow, you are generous to a fault, although truth be told, there's no fault in being generous. But yes, are there any questions? Any questions?
Looks like Marquis has her hand up.
And she has her name. Awesome. Go ahead and unmute, Marquis.
Hi, so I just have a question about your grant journey. What source are you finding your grants from? I've kind of like went on grants.gov and I've seen that I don't qualify for many because I'm not Indonesian or I don't deal with the Russian, whatever they're asking for. So where do you find your grants?
That's where I started. To be honest, I wanted to mention that to you all and I just kind of left it out of my presentation. But at the end, when I said, get the help, I was going to mention how I've gotten a lot of these grants or gotten the opportunities to apply. And it's through the relationships that I built with people. So with a lot of it is CRM. There's a lot of CRA dollars out there from banks that they have to work with small businesses. They have initiatives. So that's what I was, when I said, make sure your missions align. There's like San Francisco Bank. There's a lot of big banks and they all, even Wells Fargo, Bank of America, every single bank has CRA dollars. They have to get a certain score and they have to do so much community work. And so getting connected with their community relations manager is a really, I think, a really good place with all the banks, because when they do get opportunities for different grants for small businesses and things like that, they will email me because they remember me being around, talking about grants, just kind of being in there. So I would say building those relationships with people. We've gotten grants through US Black Chambers of Commerce, and that's having that relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. So like right now I know they have I think it might be for small businesses too, and they have a grant for a Facebook grant where I think you can get like $1,000 in social media advertising through the US Black Chambers of Commerce. So I would say a lot of it is through the relationships that I have. People reach out to me, like the grants office that I talked about. When I first got to know them, it was just going to a workshop that they had. And then after working with her on her, like reviewing my first grant, whenever she sees anything that she thinks we could apply for, she'll email me and say, hey, Delisa, I think you guys should apply for this. This looks like something you can apply for. So working with people, then you become top of mind with those people and building those relationships.
So Delisa, is it fair to say that building relationships is proven valuable for getting grants? And would it also be fair to say that building a relationship with the Urban Chamber of Commerce, specifically you, would be just as invaluable to ensure that folks can have access to those resources?
Yes, I would
Just
totally
putting it
agree.
out there.
100%.
I'm not saying Awesome. Laurie Stevenson, her hand quite literally is up. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question, please.
You said something about them having classes for grants. Could you possibly give me some more information on that?
You're muted, Delisa.
Sorry, I was in my email and I had just seen it yesterday, I think, and they're actually doing them virtual now. And I was like, wow, this is really great, because before they would have to either come here, you'd have to go there up north to do any classes with them, but now they have some virtual classes. I think they have a new program called NGMA, and it's Grants Management Virtual Learning. So it looks like they probably have different things you can learn on there. And I'm
Who
sure
is they?
the Nevada Grants Office. So the state of Nevada Grants Office. So I can put their information into the chat and you guys can email them or call them directly to find out more about that program.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Speaking of the chat, if you have not done so already, or even if you have, do it again, because folks sometimes drop off the Zoom and come back and they may lose the information in the chat. So if you haven't already, or even if you have, please put your information in the chat, your contact information, that is, not just random information, your contact information. Please put that in the chat so that we can continue these conversations. Oh my goodness, she's here. I can see her. Rhea, I'm going to give you a chance to do your introduction in just a second. I just want to make sure that we don't have any more questions for Delisa, because oh my goodness, I like simple stuff like, who is Sam and why do I need his number?
Is that a question?
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
Sam and who's Coach Dun or
Sam,
Dunn, whoever you said, I don't know.
Dun Bradstreet, and Sam is to register with the government. So like I said, when you're applying for government grants, they give you an identifying number for your business, and that's how they would be able to track your business, see what your if you're current, what your status is with the federal government. So that's a federal government system that you go, and it's a pretty kind of simple process. If you do need help, you can go to PTAC and they can help you get registered with SAM, help you get your DUNS number. They do all of that free of charge. It's another government entity that we pay taxes for. That is a free resource for small businesses to use.
Awesome, thank you. I'll go ahead and ask the kindergarten class questions because I don't know this stuff. Are there any other questions that for Delisa, excuse me, this morning? You're muted, Rhea.
I put it in the chat, but Delisa, did you say PTAC?
It is PTAC, the Procurement and Technical Assistance Center. I think that's the name, what it stands for. They are, but I will find their info because I have that as well and put that in the chat too. Procurement Assistance and Outreach, and they're part of Nevada's Governor's Office of Economic Development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So if you would please join me in giving a round of applause to Delisa Stewart. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
And this is just one of her many skills. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Yes, yeah, I see you. I see that's a round of, okay, I'm not messing with you no more. And yes, I use a double negative on purpose. But on a positive note, thank you, Belinda, for putting your information in the chat. You do a little bit of everything. You're the Bible source and more, as well as the car concierge. Are we talking rentals, purchases, or both? And I know I should have asked 3 questions to someone I can't hear. That's my fault. Both? Rentals? Purchases. I can read lip still. So if you need to buy a car, you need to call Belinda. But wait, Belinda, I don't see your phone number, so I can't call you. You go. Thank you for putting it in the chat. I read that too. She's gonna put it in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rhea, tell us who you are, please.
Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to be back, and then to have Delisa on top. It's like candy and jewels. So this was just awesome. So happy to see everyone here. I am Rhea, the scholarship doctor with Scholarship Solutions, where everyone's a scholar and we're blessed to help those 0 to 99, from the womb to the tomb, from birth to death, to have a debt-free college experience. So if you and or yours are interested in going to college for free, and that's any form of higher education, trade school, vocational, traditional 2 or 4 year, graduate, professional school, I'm your girl. More specifically, we are here to help do virtual events just like this for lunch and learns and businesses and organizations, CBOs, churches, universities, etc. And I hope you will join us for Debt-Free University this Thursday. It's free of charge, But it's an hour of scholarship power where, again, you and yours will learn how to go to college for free. So thanks so much, y'all.
Awesome. See, I knew I messed it up. It's womb to the tomb, 0 to 100. See, it's so cool. It gets caught in my head. It won't come out my mouth. I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you for being here. I'm almost as excited as you are to see you as well. And so, speaking of excited, I've not met this woman. I don't know anything about her except she has the most glowing smile that I have seen. And so I'm excited to learn more about the importance, the importance of donations among the minority communities, which statistically that's who we are. And so it's important. So now that Delisa has shown us how to get some money, Christina's going to tell us where to put it and where to go with it. So I won't belabor it any longer. Christina Hernandez, join me in welcoming her now to the front of the Zoom. Take it away, please.
Thank you so much, Darren, for having me. And just thank you to this entire team, because truly we're in this together, and together we are out here with not only our messages of hope through our businesses and leading our community by being entrepreneurs, but also being everyday heroes. And a part of that does come along the lines of organ, eye, and tissue donation. And that's what I'm here to talk about. This cause does hit home for me. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm gonna get into that in my presentation, and I'm gonna just jump right in. So Christina Hernandez, I'm gonna give my little short intro. I am the Communications and Engagement Liaison for Nevada Donor Network. That is a new title, so it's a lot for me to get out. Still, I was our communications coordinator. And Nevada Donor Network is near and dear to my heart because transplantation is near and dear to my heart. My grandfather lost his battle waiting for a heart transplant when he was only 51 years old. I was only about 6 years old. So from that time in my life, donation has been a huge part of my life. And we talk about God bringing your life full circle. Now here I am at almost 33 years old, representing a mission that means more to me than anything I've ever done in my life. So very, very proud to be here and be sharing this with you. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of who Nevada Donor Network is, because normally when people hear Nevada Donor Network, they kind of make some assumptions of, oh, are you collecting donations? What are you doing? There's more to be known about Donate Life that you may have heard of before, but we are Nevada Donor Network here in Nevada. We are a federally designated not-for-profit 501c3 organization. It's an organ procurement organization, or OPO as we call it for short. So unlike some nonprofits, we are federally designated, which means we are regulated by different entities in the government to ensure that what we're doing is fair, what we're doing is safe, all of those things to ensure that the gifts that we are responsible for coordinating, recovering, and distributing those organs and tissues from heroic donors are able to be used for transplantation, education, and potential medical research. Obviously, with transplantation being our primary focus, education and medical research being a secondary thing. My job specifically on our community development team is to educate the public about donation and the importance of registration. So if you have a team of employees that you feel would be able to learn more about it, I have a much longer presentation than this that I give. It will usually last about an hour. This is sort of kind of a teaser to you all, and then bigger ways that you can get involved, not only as a business or organization, but also as an individual, how you yourself can advocate and have that communication within our community. So there's different reasons why someone might need a transplant. In my grandfather's case, he was born with a congenital heart defect. He had 10 open heart surgeries leading up to transplant. It was a very long journey. He was one of the healthiest people I knew. Nothing he could have done would have changed his outcome. He put that in his doctor's hands, and unfortunately his gift didn't come. Obviously the 90s was a different time when it comes to donation. There's also accidental injuries. There's even viruses. One of my coworkers, her son, Christopher Rodriguez, he is a heart transplant recipient. He had what his mother thought third boy was just an easy cold, and it ended up being a virus that attacked his heart and reduced its function down to about 5%. And this was in a matter of 2 weeks. He went to the Children's Heart Center here in town, if anyone is familiar with them. and they unfortunately couldn't do anything. So transplant was his only option. I'm happy to say now that 18-month-old baby is almost 15 years old. He's thriving. And unfortunately in the pandemic, he does still have to stay home, but he is just doing so well. Other than that big scar on his chest and those anti-rejection medications he takes twice a day, you would never know any difference. So that is truly what donation can do for somebody, and why it's so important that Nevada does have that available for Nevadans who are in desperate need of that transplant. And in most cases, transplant is necessary for survival. And I'll go into tissue donation a little bit later in the presentation, because it may not be the same type of, visceral. When we see that story, a mother listening to her son's heartbeat in someone else's chest, we've heard that, but tissue is something that we may know more people that are impacted by it. So the transplant process, again, you heard two different stories, right? Someone like my grandfather, who it took years to get to the point that he was out of needing to be listed. He was listed for months and unfortunately got sick while waiting, and his gift didn't come. But then you hear stories like Christopher, who within weeks of finding out something was wrong with him was transplanted, his whole life changed. So what leads someone up to the point of needing to visit a transplant center for evaluation is so different. It can happen within, hours of finding out something is wrong. It can happen within years, and especially if anyone here on this chat knows someone who's on dialysis and potentially waiting for a kidney transplant, that journey is incredibly different from someone who is waiting for a heart or lungs. Once there is a process in which it varies based on person to person what that journey is like to be placed on the waiting list, it's very hard because you're kind of in this gray area of being sick enough to need a transplant, but then healthy enough to survive a transplant surgery, which could last, 6, 12 hours. You never know, just depending on the complexity of what is going on in the person's situation. And the time on the wait list truly does depend on several factors. So one of those things is blood type. That's probably one of the most known things. We even go as far as to use tissue typing. So taking samples from someone's lymph nodes to be able to get that close match as possible. We have a lab on campus that does this matching 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, both with the donors here in town, even potential recipients, as well as recipients outside of our state. Medical urgency obviously comes into play because we want to get those people transplanted that are in the highest need. Organ size is something that I didn't really consider, but now that I've talked about it for many years now, it totally makes sense. Someone like me who's only 5'2" has a heart the size to sustain my oxygenation and my blood flow throughout my body. But if someone is 6'2", that's a completely different size of lungs and heart. So that also is something that can come into, fruition when someone's waiting and how long they can wait. If there's a rare blood type, that wait can be a long time as well. So the struggle is real. And this for me is our why. Aside from representing those heroes that give that ultimate gift. And there is living donation. Living donation is something that is starting to get talked about more and more now, with kidneys being the most waited for organ on the transplant waiting list now. That's almost 100,000 people of the people that are waiting, and you only need one kidney, and it's definitely something that you can do to be someone else's hero, whether you know them or you are an unknown donor. So this to me is, again, represents my why and why we're doing what we're doing. And to talk to you further and why, for me, anyone who is African American, Asian American, Hispanic, Native American, etc. In the United States, overall, 65% people waiting out here and speak, because a certain multicultural background doesn't necessarily say, oh yes, I'm going to match with you because we're in the same multicultural background, but we carry DNA markers that make us a closer match. So in the example, I love to share this about my coworker's son earlier, Christopher Rodriguez. his donor was another Hispanic baby, and he is only on 2 rejection medications a day. And the difference between that and others who I know are on 20 medications a day, it makes a huge difference, because those medications, you want to keep that sort of as low as possible, just because of the ramifications those do have on people's health in another way. So it's just really interesting when you think about that. So the need for people of a multicultural background to get registered is there, and have these conversations, because that's what you all are here for, is to really get out there in the community and be leaders and just share your why. And, you know, when we talk about what 110,000 people look like, it's almost 7 times the capacity of T-Mobile Arena during a Golden Knights game. We can actually get back to those, and it's a staggering amount of people. And unfortunately, the flip side of this, and why we're fighting together to end this wait, is that on average 22 people pass away each day waiting. So the need is real, it is desperate, and it's very, very important that we have these conversations while we can have these conversations. So I'd like to share a story. Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio. I did check that audio box, so I'm really hoping this works. If not, I will share these links afterwards. Let me move. Here we go. Okay. Okay, just shoot me a thumbs up if you can hear this volume.
I had just came back from a 3-week vacation, and I was getting really sick. Apparently to my mom, I had like some discoloration, and so she took me to Sunrise, and they said that there was fluid in my lungs, and so they had a echocardiogram done, and my heart was beating at 20%. I received a heart transplant on my brother's birthday, September 7th, 2016. Meeting people at Nevada Donor Network has given me strength and hope and gratitude for people, and especially donors. Just seeing what my donor did, Chris, and what other donors can do, you just get this like wave of appreciation for people just like Chris, who are donors, who know that what they're doing is going to bring a lot of people new lives. I'm on a national dance team at my high school. I'm doing all of this great activities like Nevada Donor Network, just to not only represent my donor, but to honor him every day. You have to live life like there is no tomorrow, because after you receive a heart transplant, you become something more than yourself.
Hope, strength, life. So I always like to share these stories, because sometimes with donation, we think, well, it hasn't really impacted me, so it's something that I don't have to worry about. And it's something that you know, is just never going to impact me. But that's kind of the thing with donation, is just in Brianna's case, it happened like that. She started feeling unwell, and then all of a sudden her parents' whole life changed. And for me, it's just, it's very, very powerful to see just how much her life has changed because a donor said yes, a young man that was around her age. So it's just something that I like to share. So I'm going to go back into my presentation. So there's many ways to make your wishes known. Obviously, still the #1 registered way across the nation, 98% of registrations come this way, is through the local DMV. Obviously here in Nevada, we get a heart on our license, and that's one of the ways that we can kind of see that and bring that to fruition. But there are some people that don't feel comfortable having that heart on their license, and that can be something through one of our most common myths and misconceptions we hear a lot about, is that, well, if they see that heart on my license, they're not going to save my life. Well, #1, if anyone knows someone who's in the medical community, we all know the oath and the standards that they take when they abide by that. If you say that to an EMT or to a doctor or to a nurse, they're going to be, quite frankly, offended by it. They're not searching for someone's license. They're trying to save your life. That's their #1 priority. And, you know, donation is that light at the end of the tunnel when unfortunately they aren't able to save that patient, because it is something that, you know, brings people down to their knees when they've done everything and they just can't do anymore. But I like to give people another option. Hey, if you head to envydonor.org, you know, you can register right there, click that register button up in the top corner. And that decision is between you and, you know, us as well. When we have access to that registration, obviously we encourage people to have those conversations prior to that time because they can, and because it's important that your loved ones know that. You can also get registered within your iPhone Health app. It's a new availability as well. Again, there's ways to combat that worry, but I can tell you, obviously, that's something that you don't have to worry about. But hey, when you're having those conversations, which are very, very important, it's always good to give people other options. And I would love to now share Mikey Sigler's story. He was a heroic donor who gave the ultimate gift. He made that decision when he got his motorcycle classification on his license. And for me, inspired many as being UMC's first honor walk. It was a story that was very, very powerful for many. If you were ever at one point in his position, getting to that time in your life, or you have children yourself, this is a very, very powerful story. So I am going to share this one.
Mikey is very outgoing and knew very early on that he had a love for motorcycles. On May 17th of 2019, he had picked up his cap and gown, his tickets for graduation, and came home and modeled off his cap and gown for his father. And then Mikey got a call, and it was his best friend, David.
Metro police say he was wearing a helmet, but still suffered serious head injuries.
Mike hopped on the bike and unfortunately did not make it to David's house. UMC had come to us about being one of the first honor walks. So from his trauma center all the way to the operating room, there would be individuals lining the hall to show honor to Michael. I sat with him while we made that first turn and just thinking about all the wonderful memories and times that we spent, and taking that final walk and being honored in such a way as a family and as Michael as an individual for the gift he made is one of those life-changing events. I'll never forget it as long as I live. At this point that I'm aware of, at least 9 families have benefited from Michael's organs, and I was so proud to be part of that history making for UMC, and it's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
So every time I share that, I myself still get very emotional because I've been along with Michael's family through their journey. I've been lucky enough as of last October to go with them and travel to Dallas, Texas to meet his lung recipient. Makes me a little emotional because being there to witness that on the weekend of his 19th birthday, which was not originally planned like that, we got to see something so beautiful come out of something so tragic, and how inspirational his family has been, because it was an accident between him and someone that was in his graduating class. It was an accident. She showed forgiveness. He showed his heroic decision that he made. There was just so much that came from that, and inspiring so many to want to give that gift, and is the reason and my why, even aside from, sharing about the transplant waiting list and all those people waiting. Donors every day make this happen. There could be someone right now that is going in for recovery that's going to save the lives of 9 others, and we all have that potential. So it's very powerful, and why we're here. So obviously, being able to share with businesses and different chambers of commerce and all of that is what's most important for us, because we are looking to be able to inspire our community to be able to make that decision as well. And there's so many ways that you can give back. Volunteering with us is something that is an incredible thing for that. As we get back and start opening our community up, more live events, obviously that's a big part of what we do. Truly what I like to call the bread and butter, because we get to have those conversations face to face and potentially, change someone's mind, change someone's heart, and be able to educate them about some of those myths and misconceptions. So you can always reach out to our main email address for those opportunities. If you also have any younger people in your life as well, we have some really fun events for them. This is the big part now with the world changing and being different. We've obviously had to modify our outreach strategy to be able to reach more people. So April every year is National Donate Life Month. And a couple of the biggest ways that we're empowering our community supporters and partners is through first, everyday heroes helping end the wait. So what we're doing is we've created a whole campaign to raise awareness. So that's through social media posts. That's also through suggestions on sharing stories on your social media, just getting people inspired to see that it's people like you and I that have the ability to be an everyday hero. It's not these people on TV that people look up to for the wrong reasons. It's people like Mikey. It's people like Brianna. It's people like you and I that say yes or go through those huge journeys to be able to get to that point. So there's a National Blue and Green Day. One of the big events that we're doing is our virtual walk run. We've actually partnered with the Southern Nevada Health District for their Walk Around Nevada app. So it's going to be all April long. So you have that opportunity to pick a route, walk. We send out some really cool swag, glow t-shirt, glow sticks as a part of the entry fee, and you can learn more. We're still rolling out some of the content for our partners to be able to share, but that will be live soon. And please feel free to reach out to me via email and I can kind of keep you updated on the status of all of those materials, but they're definitely in the works. Rack cards, countertop displays, like I said, digital flyers, social media, things that you can kind of share in all avenues and mediums. And stay connected. So social media truly is right now the way that we're staying most connected with our audience and sharing those inspirational messages. It's also a great way for you to just learn more about our cause. So Nevada Donor Network on Facebook and Instagram, we are NV Donors. So that is all I have for now. Let me stop sharing. Oh wait, here we go. Perfect. So that's all I have. If anyone has any questions or would like to sideline with me about ways that we can work together with your business, like I said, I love doing these presentations. I can give you so many resources to be able to be an advocate. I work very closely with a DMV. I do DMV and youth outreach. So those are things as well that I do along with business outreach and of course different organizations like this as well. So I'm happy to help. So I'll make sure to type that in the chat, follow Darren's instructions, and also shout out to all the other Las Vegas natives. Your girl's born and raised in Las Vegas. I did go to school in Reno though, so I had a few years of experience of snow. I know my dad. UNLV graduates surround me, all around me. So we love to have fun with that, but I love it here. And this is my city, and Nevada Donor Network is fighting to truly change the way transplant is done in Nevada, and that's through our foundation. And I'd love to share more with you about that in the future as well. So we're doing so much, but I'm very proud to be sharing this message with you today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yes, Rhea. Round of applause. So glad. So obviously the donations were completely different than what I initially said. So yeah, sorry, nobody caught that, but Rhea, thank you for calling me out like that. Thank you, appreciate it. But are there any questions? Any questions? This was definitely powerful information. She talked about both sets of tissues today because she just put some tear jerkers out. I'm glad my camera was off. That was not cool. But
well, and I'm glad you brought up tissue too, because I shortened my presentation. Normally, I would kind of go through each type of tissue, each type of organ, share some more stories for my longer presentation.
No, we got enough stories.
I know, right? I know. The stories are what get you because, right, you can actually connect a person to this. But if anyone on this call today has heard of someone who's received a cadaver ACL or a cadaver bone graft, or, unfortunately, those are the terms in which we are communicated with because that is just kind of the way it has always been done in the medical system. So those do come from heroic donors. So if you know someone that's had a back surgery, a knee surgery, if you know someone that's had a corneal transplant, I mean, you're going from, it may not be life-saving in the way that organ transplant is, but you're going from not being able to see to be able to being able to have clear vision. Heart valves are definitely life-saving. Infants that get those heart valves that are born, they're born damaged with, they will live a completely normal life after that. So there's just so many ways that someone can impact someone. And I think Rhea do you still have a question?
Yes, her hand is up, and then Laurie, you're next. So
Okay.
Rhea, go ahead, please. Go ahead and unmute first.
Sorry, I put my hand down first. So
it's all good.
Thank you. I have had that little heart since the day I got my license.
Awesome.
And I think I have kind of some questions and comments, and hopefully not too much time, but you did mention youth and volunteerism. What do you define as youth? So how young can someone be to volunteer with the organization?
So essentially, normally in our hopeful next year, we will have our Hope Glows in person, and we used everyone from middle school age up. Essentially, we just have waivers. If they're younger, we do have parents show up with them, but we can always use that. We sign off on paperwork as well. High school age students, we have a couple of our employees as well as outside of that do packing of boxes, like when we're shipping shipments out, doing stuff in the office as well. We can do that remotely too. It's kind of ways we've found around it. But yes, of all ages, we're definitely looking for that. And we would love to sign off. I know in your instance for scholarships and all of that, absolutely. I'm willing to always write a letter of recommendation for any of that. So please share our information. Our volunteer coordinator, LaShonda Marshall, is incredible, and she's full of energy, and she can kind of guide them through the process of becoming a volunteer, but I will definitely facilitate that with you. So please reach out.
Are you trying to network and make connections at a networking event?
I mean, hey, I'm getting in where I fit in, okay? I was waiting. I was like, listen, I'm also here. We were talking about brand builders, shoe builders. I'm like, I can do all types of, with the people building, we're helping people come back and become a full self again. So I was going to joke about that earlier, but I was like, I'll wait until I get into my presentation.
No, networking is not a game. This is real life. So no, I said that tongue in cheek. Obviously, that is the reason we are here, is to make those connections. And Laurie had a question. Before I go to Laurie, I apologize. Was that the entirety?
It wasn't. My other question is in regard to securing our organ donation. So I, about every year and a half, have a conversation with my family saying, please give everything to anyone first. After that, donate to UNLV and let the kids work out whatever they need to on my body, and whatever they don't want, then you can burn. So that's my philosophy, but I don't know. I know from my understanding and remembrance, and very limited, I'm not trying to be an expert, but it's still next of kin has the right to say yes or no, no matter what's on my license or how many times I've expressed it. So I don't know if there is a way, though, that I should have something in a trust or a will, and if that secures it, and I believe my family will absolutely obey my wishes, but I had instances where people wanted to be a donor and the family decided that that was not the way they wanted to go.
Yes, so I'm glad you brought that up. That is a very important conversation to have, right? So having those conversations now amongst many very important conversations in life is very, very important. We need to be able to have those and share that, because I think sometimes with a lot of people, it's the shock of not knowing that makes them very against it, or not necessarily fully grasping when they're already in this time of grief where they can't think of anything else besides this loss. It's, the biggest loss of their life. It's hard to be able to wrap your mind around making all those decisions. So what I will say, according to NRS, when you register as an organ, eye, and tissue donor online at the DMV, et cetera, that is a first person legally binding decision. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to work with a family, with our grief support, along with the hospital as well, to help them understand the process and the decision. Absolutely, we're going to go to them. Now, in the instance where a family says, no, we don't want that, in that case, a legal next of kin has the ability to make that decision if someone's not registered. So that's where, the conversations, they just have to be had. It's important. And you also don't know who you can inspire, because you might be talking to someone, right, that's had this myth or misconception, or just has never wanted to talk about it. In my life, that's really what it was. It wasn't that everyone was against it. They were just like, I don't want to talk about this. It's death, it's dying, it's hard to talk about. So once we started having those open conversations, so many people have registered, because it's just that knowing of like, absolutely how you felt, like when I'm gone, I'm not going to be able to use my organs and tissues. I'd love to be able to bless someone else with that gift and leave a legacy of hope behind, right? Like when we talk about Mikey's family, like his mother and father being able to visit the phone recipient, his dad woke up the next morning. He was very apprehensive when we went on this trip, and sort of, I could just tell the energy was just, he was having a hard time wrapping his mind around it. That next morning, he woke up after meeting Harold for the first time. He literally was just full of tears, and he's like, I haven't slept that good in my life. I don't remember the last time I had. It brought him so much solace and so much peace to, you know, literally the worst thing that he's ever been through. So yeah, thank you so much for asking that. But absolutely, we make sure that we respect a family's wishes, even down to the type of, you know, funeral procedures that they're wanting to follow, or their wishes for their funeral. With tissue donation as well, we work with them, and everything is very respectful, and there's tons of communication throughout the process. So we make sure to have those resources, and they don't end at donation, right? Like we follow families up to 13 months, but then they can stay in our aftercare program for as long as they would like. We have a donor remembrance ceremony, all different types of things available for them. So thank you for asking that.
My last little comment is a conversation I had with my dad, who's in heaven. And I think it was following, hey guys, this is what I want. I don't have a spouse and I don't have children. So my next of kin at the time were both my parents and now my mom. But he just turned to me and was like, Ria, and we are a very devout family. And I just kind of was wondering about cultural and or religious, how you all work through this, or if you've had this, or how you can work through it. And we can talk about it later, but it's really more for kind of everyone else too to think about. But my dad was like, Ria, if I give away my organs, if I'm cremated as well, how when it's time for everyone to rise again, how is that going to happen when my body is all these different places? And, you know, I just had to tell him, I think if it's the creation and creator of the world, he could probably figure that part out anyway, you know, and make everyone whole. But I'm just wondering, you know, how those conversations go with religious institutions and again, people of color. And when I said it to my dad, he's like, oh yeah, it's God. Okay, no problem. You know, and he was able to make that change, which really blessed me and was okay accepting what I wanted. So anyway, I know you all do that, but I'm just thinking about campaigns that maybe in the Black church where people, and I never knew my dad had this, I was happy he voiced it, but I mean, really it was a true concern that he thought he was doing something kind of against God. And, you know, how would he be able to go to this, you know, heavenly place?
Oh, totally. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that is definitely something even nationally that's very important for us. And we lean on religious leaders to be able to communicate that through their messages in services, and with their congregations as well. We every November, we celebrate an observance that's called National Donor Sabbath, specifically that targets our church-related supporters. And we do that outreach through the community, but it's an all-year thing, right? Because from a perspective of an overarching message, all major religions support donation. They have written that into kind of what they believe is important for someone else to do. But it's just, again, it's communicating down here, right? It's those everyday conversations where when we think about it as people who are of a religious background, we're like, well, you know, when I get up there, God makes all things whole, because, you know, in so many instances, things can be gone for other reasons, right? Like besides donation. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's definitely something that comes up, and we would love to connect. We do have a multicultural specific outreach program where we do try to do that type of outreach as much as possible. But if anyone has someone that comes to mind, like please share them with me, and we'd love to connect as well. And then Laurie, Did you still have a question?
I wanted to share something. When me and my sister were identical twins were born, we were both born with heart defects.
Oh, wow.
Mine healed. My sister's did not. She had to have valve replacement surgery.
Oh, wow.
She was one of the first children to ever have open heart surgery back in the 60s.
That's amazing. So she was blessed back then by receiving that gift. And that's
If it
why
wasn't for the donors that gave the tissues and gave the blood and everything else, she's had 7 open heart surgeries since then.
wow.
But now she's doing fine, and we're living to a ripe old age that we never expected to.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And
So
I'm sure.
thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And like everyone else, you know, on here, I'm sure when we start really thinking about it and going through, we probably know someone that may not be now, but could be potentially impacted by donation in the future. And like I said, and discussed with Rhea, like it's so important that we have these conversations now while we can. And I'll make sure I type my information into the chat box, and I would love to connect with anyone that's interested. And I would love to have you be advocates in our community for this cause, because it does impact us, and it's definitely important that we get that message out there and we share that. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Christina, I'm so glad that you were here. And I want to sincerely thank Rhea for the question that she asked. She always asks great questions, but one of the things that I want to share with all of you, and this is not a shameless plug, this is a very important piece of information that I want to share, because Rhea and Christina, you both made this very clear. Obviously, having the conversation first with your family is vital and imperative. But then you said the L word, you said legal. Hi, my name is Darren Mitchell. The company I represent is Legal Shield. And one of the services that we provide as part of your membership is helping you to, or having your attorney prepare your will, your living will, your medical directives, and your financial power of attorney included in your membership. Because one of the things that Rhea, being that she's, as she said, is not the expert, is that having all those things prepared, usually what prohibits people from doing it is it can cost thousands of dollars. And so I love to honestly and humbly say, you know, please reach out to me so that I can assist with having these conversations. Christina, we're gonna have a whole different conversation, because we understand that there are people out there that don't know how to get that stuff done. Like Rhea, you have a heart for doing that, no pun intended, but how do I get that legally in place? Well, hi, I can help with that.
And listen, and I can tell you, put that in your will, and just, it's another way to show how many ways you're supportive of it and it's important to you. I have
Most
people
definitely
all the time. Why not? It's another way to just show your family, this is something that means the world to me, and I want to make sure that my wishes are met. So
no, I agree completely. I know I could spend another 30 minutes on the fact that having that in place, even if you didn't have the conversation, obviously we already agreed that you do have it first, but being able to say, these were this person's wishes, here they are. It's not the doctor, it's not Christina, it's not the person receipt, the person that's lying on the bed, this is what they wanted. And that way you can stop the arguing. I'm gonna drop a name that only certain people are gonna remember, Terry Schiavo. And if you know that name, you know that name because she didn't have all these papers in place. And if you don't know that name, Google it after the event, and you'll understand why this is an important conversation, to understand that the wishes that she had were not known, and her family fought all the way to the Supreme Court to find out, to determine what was actually going to happen to her. So I say again, have that in place so that if it is your desire, you can support this clearly wonderful organization. Again, round of applause, please, for Christina Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen. So glad that you were here. And Laurie, thank you for your story as well. Rhea, thank you for checking the chat, because Satira had questions, and I can only answer one part of it because you were too busy asking other questions. So I appreciate you for doing that. And so I know that we're a little behind on time, and I appreciate all of you that are here gathering all this great information. And Melvin, you don't have to turn your camera off if the kids run around in the background. I already told you, this is what we're doing. This is the world we live in. We can't all have, fancy, pull up flyers behind us like Ms. Watson does, or virtual backgrounds like Satira does. It's okay. But what is also okay is I'm going to change gears a little bit, because again, you're at Coffee and Commerce, Urban Chamber of Commerce, monthly morning networking event. And one of the, as they say, as this other commercial would say, membership has its privileges. And one of the privileges of being a member of the Urban Chamber of Commerce is each month we spotlight certain members and their organizations that they represent, or their company that they are running. And it is my pleasure right now to bring to the front of the Zoom my new friend, the wife of the chemist, That's why I found out her husband is an actual, like a mad scientist when it comes to cleaning these shoes. But that's another conversation that I'm going to leave for her to have. But my new friend, Marquis Anifawashi, I'm so glad I can pronounce that correctly now, because that's just a cool name. The front of the Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Darren. It's an opportunity to be here. I was actually introduced to the Urban Chamber of Commerce by our good friend, Kevin Rayford, which I want to speak briefly about kind of his organization. He's an excellent multitasker. He's right now in another conference with the state right now, so he couldn't really be here. But his organization is called Nevada Grow, and pretty much what they do is they're an organization that was founded through CSN and people through the state that help Nevada businesses grow, whether it's financial needs with your with assistance writing grants, with network connections, and just overall just education on how to run an efficient business. And I've been working with Kevin over these last couple of months, and he introduced us to the Urban Chamber of Commerce, and I've learned so much just coming to these meetings. I know Delisa was talking earlier about grants and stuff, and those are things that we're actively engaging in to make sure that our successful business or a business is successful and that we are sustained through any types of things like the pandemic. And so I'm going to attach his little website, because I'm not necessarily an ambassador to his program. I'm just a participant. I just posted his website. Oh, and then there's a typo. Sorry, it said can.edu, not CSN. But there you go. So I just posted his website in there for you guys to kind of get familiar with his program if you guys need any resources. But yeah, now to introduce you to our business is New Life Kicks. What we do is we are a sneaker or footwear custom and restoration company. And I know that may sound like a lot or kind of confusing, but if you are familiar with cobblers, we are basically like your modern day cobblers. The great part about virtual interaction is that I'm actually in our store right now, so I can kind of show you firsthand what we do. So we customize sneakers and we also restore them. So to kind of show you what we do, our biggest clients are people who actually are like sneakerheads, or what they call it. So we take a sneaker like this, that if you look at the tag, if you are a sneakerhead, it'll tell you the year that it was made. This was made in 2011. And if you're familiar with this shoe, if you see like all of that cracking right there, all around the shoe, people are like, hey, they don't even make these anymore, or the original pair from 2011. How do I actually continue to wear these without wearing them like this? So we take a shoe that somebody sends in like this or like this, you see.
Oh no.
And we repaint them so they look literally like brand new, like they came from the factory, which is pretty awesome. So we do all kinds of services like full service deep cleanings and oxidation reversals, which I'll show you what that looks like. We do repaints, which is what I just showed you. We do things that we call like soul swaps. We're like sneaker doctors here, which these shoes are from, I believe these, Akeem, what year are these from?
1994.
These are from 1994. So I was born in 1993. So these are from 1994. What happens is when you store these in your closet over time and you don't wear them, the sneakers actually start crumbling. So how can you wear a shoe like this from 1994, the original pair? I don't know. Most people will probably throw these in the trash. Well, don't, because these are probably worth about like $900. Like in a decent condition. So if you have a pair of these, or you know somebody that has a pair like these, or if these apply to you, we take these and we take these donor soles. We actually match the paint to match the original color, and we'll install them and reglue them for you to wear for X amount of years. We advise you to wear your kicks though, wear your kicks, which is pretty cool. So that's our soul swap services. We also get a lot of people that come in and they're like, hey, my shoes started separating. Instead of throwing these shoes away, Akeem which is my husband, he's been doing this for about 8 years, since 2012, and he will reattach these and make them look what we call new life finish, but factory finish, like if you got them literally from the store, which is pretty awesome. But we get a wide variety of shoes, between SBs and these. I don't know the name of these, but these are, I'm pretty sure, designer shoes. But we get a variety of different shoes for different services from people all around the country, and they send their kicks in and we fix them for them. So that's part of our service side. Akeem's been doing this since 2012, just to kind of give you a little background information of our business and kind of how it started. My husband, his name is Akeem Anifuwashi. That's where I get the last name from. He went to school in Southern University of Utah. And it's crazy how we all talk about God in this meeting, because God is good and got to give the glory to him all the time. And he was actually going to be drafted into the NFL in 2012. Now, if you're a sports fan, 2012 was the year of the lockout. And he was waiting to be drafted. And one day his stomach hurts and his appendix actually ruptured. And he lost about like 15, 20 pounds of body mass. And that was pretty much his journey. And his NFL career was pretty much shot. That same summer, he's a sneakerhead, so he owns a lot of kicks. He was like, hey, there's a sneaker blog on Facebook, posted before and after of his kicks because he didn't want to show in this blog that his shoes were dirty. So he takes a pair of kicks and he posts them in there, and people are like, hey, you restore shoes? And he's like, yeah, I could do this again. And literally the business was formed like that. We were in the Boulevard Mall for a couple of years. And we departed from the mall because they built that aquarium and they kicked us out. So Akeem was like, hey, I have an idea. I'm going to kind of gather my business, reintroduce it, and we're going to start creating products. So he created products, and he studied chemistry and biology in college. So now he's applying his education to make his products. And we launched our first product called Just Suede in 2018. So inside of here, we made a cleaner that comes with all the tools efficiently to clean your kicks. And this is specifically for suede. So if you're familiar with shoes or just anything, any clothing in general, fabrics, you know that you can't throw a suede coat in the closet. I mean, in the washer. You can't throw a leather jacket in the washer. You usually take them to the cleaners because different materials require different maintenance. So same things apply to your kicks, especially because the sneaker industry is evolving. I got this random fact off of Google, so don't quote me exactly, but in 2020, the sneaker industry is worth about $79 billion. And in 2026, it's estimated to grow to 120 billion. So with that being said, we consider our shoes investments because there are certain shoes that they don't make anymore, or maybe they're your favorite pair. For me, I had a foot reconstruction in 2018. So shoes to me are more valuable now because I can't just wear any cool kicks anymore because my feet are now different. Over age, my foot has grown over time, and now I have to wear certain kinds of pairs that are kind of orthopedic for my feet, and they're expensive. Shoes are really expensive now. So Akeem helps me keep my kicks fresh and keep them, durable to last me many years. And that $100 purchase may last me, instead of 2 or 3 years, it may last me 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I get to wear that same pair of shoes for so many years. So this is what our Just Suede cleaner does. You take a look at this one, it's pretty dirty. And this is what we do with our product. So our services can get a little pricey depending on what shoe. So we developed our product line to kind of do these things at your house. This Just Suede cleaner was literally just for suede. We developed another cleaner that's called the New Antidote, which I have right here. So right now we're in the process of manufacturing all of these things into a box, but we created different types of tools for different types of materials of the shoe. So this is our nylon scrub, and this is our new eraser sponge, which this is actually our display. So when I open the box, they're not in here, so I got to grab one. But we designed our tools to match the different materials of your kicks. And we simplified it because the stuff that's out right now would either advise you to put your shoes in the washing machine. And just thinking about it microscopically, if you have your favorite t-shirt, the more that you wash it, it's going to fade, it may stretch. There are other types of materials that get damaged inside of the washer. I had a favorite shirt that had these nice little strings coming down from it. Akeem helps me out with my laundry, so this was a couple years ago, but I put the shirt inside of the washer, and that was my last time ever wearing it. I had to throw the whole shirt away because it frayed and it was just horrible. So The other type of cleaner that's on the market right now is very common, is where they have you put a concentrated solution into a bucket, and then they have you mix it with tap water. But if you think about tap water in itself and what you do over time, if you look at any faucet and you see like the calcium buildup, you're kind of doing the same thing to your kicks over time. And if you are what you call a sneakerhead, these shoes are worth over $1,000. And just looking at it, you wouldn't even know. I'm not really into shoes, but a lot of people actually are. A $40 kit will make sure that your kicks are actually worth that market retail value. So that's the gist, Wade. Right now we're working on a patenting a cleaner, not necessarily cleaner, but an oxidation reversal service. So I learned oxidation off of one of these commercials with the headlights, where they have the really foggy headlights. They put the cream on it and then it goes clear. It's the best way that I could explain oxidation. Well, this is what happens in your shoes over time, is they turn yellow. So white shoes are very common to turn yellow. This shoe specifically is patent leather. So the patent leather on this is slightly yellow, and then the bottom sole is kind of like a rubber. We call this a gum sole, and it turned yellow. So my husband is super awesome with his chemistry background. We're now in the process of patenting a product that does this. So this one actually only took about 24 hours to do, and I'm going to show you a much more drastic difference. So here's this shoe, and that's pretty much what it does. So it's pretty cool. We also developed a system that you could use in your own home that can do this with our solution, which is also going through our patent process right now to do this at your house. But the unique part about it is, through the pandemic, we understand the importance of cleaning your kicks, because you don't know where your shoes go. You don't know what you step on. You don't know, I'm looking for things like, dog droppings and bird droppings and dirt and those kind of things. But let's say you work in a hospital or a facility. Now you're actually interacting with this virus that can stick essentially on anything. For us to be able to grab these shoes, clean them, sanitize them in and out, and especially the bottoms of the shoes. Think about how many people actually wear their shoes in the home. Well, I don't wear shoes in the home. I'm Filipino, so my mom actually has us take the shoes off at the door. So that's what I practiced in my own home. But there are people that walk around. They walk around all day wherever they go, and they don't realize that the bottom of their shoes actually have a lot of bacteria that now you're stepping on your carpet. And now if you have small children, they're running around and they're actually interacting with the same thing. So we've developed different products to not only clean your shoes, sanitize your shoes, but our box that I can't really talk about too much, but our box will help you sanitize your shoes for you to do in your own home, which is super awesome. A lot of our expansion, I want to give another shout out to Kevin Rayford. He has connected us with different people like the U.S. Patents Office to be able to network and connect with them, to be able to reach out and meet people like Darren, who can help us link with different types of lawyers and different resources and stuff like that to really help our products launch, not just domestically, but now internationally. We launched our business with our product line in 2018. In 2021, we've hit 49 states in about 12 different countries, which is super awesome. The demand has grown so much over social media that now I'm reaching out with everybody that I possibly can to just spread the word, or just kind of interact in a network to see how we can kind of shake hands and help one another. Our goal is to expand globally this year. We design and mass produce everything ourselves. So I'm the graphic designer as well as the operations partner and pretty much all the sides of the business. So however I can exchange and help a friend, I'm kind of reaching out to everybody here so that you guys can help me spread word of mouth, or see how maybe your business can, interact with ours and figure out how we could grow. Let me see. I don't want to waste too much time, but Kevin Rayford sent me a link, and I know Delisa said it's about who you know, where you get these great opportunities. Today is our first day of voting. We are participating in the FedEx grant contest to win up to $50,000. So I want to post a link down below in the chat room. If you guys can follow the link and just vote, you can use as many email addresses as you have. I have like 5 of them. So you can vote once a day. So if you're just kind of bored or just know somebody and you just want to, spend your days for the next 14 days voting, please vote, 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 vote. This is a great opportunity to be a part of this. I have one thing though, before I actually exit out. During this process, my husband and I are great philanthropists, or we want to do more philanthropy type of work. Given that the sneaker industry is growing, is very common, especially in the urban community, that sneakers are a huge part of the youth's life and maybe everybody's life. And, you know, growing up, we've witnessed many people get robbed for shoes. You know, people have stand in long lines and gotten bullied or beat up waiting for these sneaker releases. And acknowledging that, we formed an organization called Souls for Souls, where we've developed a nonprofit organization that we are now donating kicks, school supplies, and just being business mentors for anybody of the youth to kind of grow and expand, whether it's their you know, stability at home, there's a confidence in their personal selves, or their school supplies, or whatever that may be. We have developed our nonprofit Souls for Souls to kind of give back to the community. So if you have kicks that you don't wear, maybe you can look in your closet. We do accept donations in our store. We clean them, we kind of like restore them. And during like different events, whether it's back to school events, summer events, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever it is, we like to partner with other nonprofits and donate whatever resources we do have. So I think that's it. I didn't want to take too much of your time, but I appreciate everybody for listening in. If you want to get your kick service, feel free to go online to our website, which I'll post a link, where you can book one of our services. Or if you feel like you can, you know, execute some of these results on yourself, we do have great products for you to clean your entire closet. And I also clean my couches with it and all of that good stuff. So it's multi-purpose. Your purses, which is great, the inside and out leather and all of that good stuff. But I appreciate the time, and thank you, Darren, for having me.
Thank you, Marquis, for being here. That was probably, and that's probably one of the best spotlights. Excuse me, I'm just flustered right now. I've never had a spotlight give an actual tour of their facility. That's amazing.
That's just one room. Awesome. If you want, I can keep going.
No, it's good, because I'm already in trouble because you went over on time, but it's not your fault. It's mine. It's my fault. I didn't control the time well, because we were having such a good time with all of the information that was shared today, from Delisa talking about grants to Christina talking about donations. And then now, even if you're not a sneakerhead, who leaves their house with dirty shoes on? Yeah, say nobody. Right, exactly. Your mama taught you better than that. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. I just have a couple of very quick announcements. Let's see here. Where did I put them? There they are. So if you enjoyed today's Coffee and Commerce, you know, we'll be back next month, April 14th, with much more information, with much more great information to help you grow your business. So definitely you'll want to come back next month for that. However, next week is our virtual connect. Obviously, Coffee and Commerce is our monthly morning event. Virtual Connect is our monthly evening event, and it's going to be held on March 18th, Queen Latifah's birthday. She'll be 51. That's just random information, that stuff I know. But the Net Brode is going to be speaking with Brode's Funnel Cake, and so you definitely want to be there. But this was a live event. She'd probably bring samples, but oh well, next time. Also, let's see here. Speaking of women in business and politics, that event is going to be held virtually in April 30th. $20 per person. There are sponsorships available. Why do you want to sponsor a virtual event? So you get shameless plugs throughout the event and throughout the promotion. So you definitely want to reach out to our office to find out more information on sponsorship packages, so you can have your information out there in front of the people. Now, this is one of my favorite events. In fact, it might actually be my favorite, because the Meet Your President is your opportunity to find out how do you best take advantage of your membership at the Chamber. When I joined the Chamber years ago, as a micro business, as a solopreneur, the Chamber at that time, I always worked with small businesses, but was focused on bigger businesses. So, hey, I'm going to join the Chamber either way, but how do I, as a solopreneur, like the Ray Watsons of the world, like the Laurie Stevenson of the world, how do we benefit from our Chamber membership? Now, at that time, I was fortunate, my wife and I, to be able to get a meeting with Ken and sit down and go, okay, what do we need to do? How do we do this? And he gave us valuable information. Now, I'm saying that because you're not going to get that meeting with Ken anymore. He's too busy. As you said, Shondell was here at the beginning of the meeting and he was off to another meeting. Ken is out doing what they're here to do, which is serve us. But Ken also recognized the importance of those conversations. So he has availed himself to meet with the membership. And this has primarily been for new members, but for all of the reasons that we all know, hashtag pandemic, hashtag 2020, this is a virtual event now, and it is open to all membership where you have an opportunity to network like we did today, introduce yourself, but then meet the president and get key vital information direct from I call him the genius, because he off the top of his head has so many connections that he can share with you right off the top of his head in the moment to help you build your business, make those connections, and utilize your chamber membership, because as always, our role as the Urban Chamber of Commerce is to continually bring value to all of you. And so with that being said, the most valuable commodity we have is time, and we've gone over on it, so I'm gonna hush. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you enter your information into the chat, but then secondly, and even I dare say more importantly, save the chat. If you are on a PC like I am, there's a square with 3 dots where you can save the chat, which I'm going to do right now. If you are on a mobile device, you're going to want to screenshot the information so that you can have, the FedEx information on here. You also, hold on, wait a second. Marquis did not put New Live's website on there, but you know what? I got you, because I was screen sharing that page a moment ago. So I'm going to paste that on there. Bam. You definitely want to have New Life Kicks website, because even if you're not a sneakerhead, you want clean shoes. Who doesn't want clean shoes? You just messed me up. Like, you just walk in the house with the dirty shoes and your kids walking on the floor and you just got dirty shoes in the house. Like, who does that? Nobody, because you're gonna clean the shoes now. So John, thank you for joining us all the way from Phoenix. Rhea, always a pleasure to see you. Look forward to being able to see you in person. Please hug mom and the family for me. Melvin, keep watching those kids. We're glad that you were here. Alexandria, thank you for the PUA. I appreciate that. It was a lifesaver. I mean that. Speaking of lifesaver, thank you, Christina, for being here. Belinda, sorry we couldn't hear from you, but I'm glad that you were here. And if you need car information, definitely reach out to her. Satira is your new favorite real estate agent this evening. Get your headshots done from Kim. But matter of fact, why don't we just all connect, have one-on-one conversations by way of Zoom, where we can learn how to learn what each of us do and share that information. As a matter of fact, my information is in the chat. And something that I've done recently is I've used a service called Calendly. So if you'd like to meet with me so we can network, continue this conversation, some of you I'm going to be reaching out to directly anyway, you can jump on my calendar and get a slot where we can spend a 30-minute Zoom or so, and I can learn what you do, share with you what I do, and we can continue the conversation from there. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Delisa Stewart, Rashonda Washington, and the rest of the Urban Chamber of Commerce, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye, everybody. So nice to meet you all.